Welcome to the Patient Educators Update, where we talk about patient education in a clinical environment. My name is Chuck Jones, and as always, I'm joined today by our guest, Fran London. Hi, Fran.
Hi, Chuck.
Fran is the Patient Education Specialist at Phoenix Children's Medical Center in Phoenix, Arizona. And she's also the author of the book, No Time to Teach, as well as numerous other articles and even another book before that. And it's important to note that the book, No Time to Teach, was the 2010 Book of the Year by voted by the American Journal of Nursing, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. It's a great book. I have a copy right here. I always use it for my notes before we get started.
Thank you.
And our topic today comes from page 99 in your book, and it's about teaching with video, which is obviously something that's near and dear to my heart. And in the book, you address two key topics. Number one is how to choose video or how to choose teaching videos. And number two, how to set up the video for the patient.
But wait a minute, Chuck. Can we go back a little bit and can we just talk about why a hospital would want video in the first place?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I mean, is it because their nurses are too busy and they...
Well, some hospitals will say that, and I will tell you that I don't like to sell our system to a hospital that says that we're too busy and we need the video to teach the patients, because that's not the job of the video. The patient educator is the nurse, not the video. The video is a tool, and it should be used as a tool. And as a matter of fact, I just finished writing a piece of content that we provide to people that are interested in thinking about video. And I'm taking a cue from the education system, K-12. There's a lot of use of video in a different way in K-12. They're calling it flip the classroom. And what they're doing is they're using video to replace the lecture. If you think about going to school, especially in elementary and middle school, you remember the teacher with the waka, 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 and it was hard to pay attention unless they were interesting, and a lot of them aren't. And sometimes the topics are dry. You know, if you're thinking about YouTube and the YouTube generation, thinking about the Civil War is kind of not in the same vein with you unless you're just really interested in history. But the concept of flip the classroom is that you use the video presented in a way that the kids can enjoy, and then that's their lecture, and they watch that on their own time. And then the classroom time is used for problem solving and discussions about the lesson, and it increases engagement. And those teachers that have tried it love it. Well, the same concept can work in patient education. The idea of the video is not to take over the education or take away education from the nurse, because it can't do that. It can't answer any questions. It can't ask questions. There's a lot of things the video can't do, but there's a lot of things it can in terms of being able to help with educational barriers, being able to explain complex things in simple terms, get some of the medical jargon out. And if the nurse will look at it as a role, accept his or her role as a facilitator / educator, video becomes a great tool, because they do one of the things in your book, which is set up the video for the patient by explaining what to do, what to look for, which helps them tune into it. And then when they come back after the video's been watched, if they give all the right instructions, which you include in your book, then there's a much better opportunity for engagement and questions. And that's the thing you want, because if we think back to other episodes, what's the goal? We want them to be able to be functionally literate, which means they can take care of themselves when they leave the hospital. This helps them do that because it engages all of their senses, plus it encourages interaction with the nurse. And to me, that's the biggest benefit. The video is not the teacher, but it's a tool that conveys information. The teaching still has to be done, and the concepts still have to be drawn. So that's my 2 cents worth on that.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah,
That connection to the K-12 is Very useful. Very useful.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I'll put a link to this this white paper that I wrote, or ebook, e-paper, whatever you want to call it. It's called How to Flip Patient Education. And it takes a lot of the concepts that you're very familiar with, that I'm familiar with, and it breaks them down from the K-12 education into patient education, and talks about how to use it, even some phrases to say and things of that nature. So it much better puts a focus on actually how to use video in a teaching environment, as opposed to watch this video and then that's the end of it, because that accomplishes nothing, in my opinion.
And that may be why some of those hospitals think you just have to show videos to patients and you don't have to have the conversation. They don't realize what it is you have to do in order to get the thinking going and get the information absorbed.
Yeah, it's like anything else that you do. You know, if you're going to create a new handout or anything else, there's a lot of work that goes into that makes it good. And it's the same thing with the patient interaction. You know, if you don't make an effort to make that interaction good, it's not going to be. You know, we talked about that in remember our episode on 8 common mistakes. You know, if folks are interested in wanting to learn what not to do, look up 8 most common patient education mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the stuff that's in your book. From here, one of the first things you talk about is how to choose teaching videos. And this is really critical because if this is not done right, then the video can't serve its purpose.
Exactly.
So you want to talk about some of your recommendations on how to choose the right video. And this, I might back up and say there are 2 ways to look at this. One way is from the librarian's standpoint, or whoever's in charge of buying video for the hospital. They've got to make sure that they're doing the right thing. The second element is with the nurse educator, in that they need to apply the proper video to the patient, because you could have videos that are too complex or not complex enough, depending on where the learner is. So with that, I'll turn the microphone over to you.
Yeah, good points. Because the librarian has to choose the videos that are useful for it. So there has to be an interaction in deciding what to get. And then you have to know what's available to you so that you can choose the right one in the moment for that specific patient. So videos have to be short. They have to be short. They have to have people in it that look like the patient, so that whatever it is that they're showing looks like it's possible to the person who's going to have to learn it.
Yeah.
They have to be clear and simple and straightforward, with captions that run across slow enough to read in the time that it's happening. They should be focused on what to do, what it is you need to do. Another aspect of video is that it can touch the emotions. A lot of times in the hospital, people are shocked by the diagnosis, distressed by what it is they're going to have to do for home care, overwhelmed, scared. If they could see other people in the video who are feeling that way too, it can help them feel less alone.
Yeah, I agree with all of those. I'll especially stress the ones about having people that kind of look like themselves. Back when we first started doing this 20 years ago, one of the things we saw over and over was hospitals that had videos that the address and hairstyles and things didn't match up. And so the immediate thought is, well, if the appearances are so far behind, is the technology up to date? And today, you got to take it a step farther and make sure that you have cultural situations that are recognized as well, because that's important as well. You can't have Leave It to Beaver type of videos for everybody, because it just won't work.
They won't. So
yeah, and you know, and more the video providers are doing things in multiple languages. As an example, we have a hospital that the dominant language after English is not Spanish, it's Bosnian.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find Bosnian videos, but they're actually starting to increase the numbers of those. And so that's an important one. And then the other one that's appropriate to emphasize or reemphasize is the emotion. There was a study done, I'll put a link to it in the show notes, but it had to do with end-of-life care. And when patients had gotten a diagnosis that was not real promising, and the issue had to do with whether or not the doctors prescribed the right level of care that the patient wanted. And in the study, some people were just talked to about it, and others were given a discussion about what to do, as well as a video. And the objective was to find what level of care the patient wanted. And in the cases where only the doctor talked to the patient and then the doctor made the decision about what to do, they overdid what the patient really wanted. They provided more care than the patient really wanted. In other words, the patient may have wanted just comfort care, and the doctor was going way overboard. Well, that does two things. Number one, it's not really what the patient wanted. Number two, the amount of money that was spent on that was significant, and the patients overwhelmingly didn't want that. And so just the addition of a video in that type of environment that was applicable to what was going on made a big difference in the way the patients communicated back with the doctor in terms of provide comfort care or whatever.
So it improves patient satisfaction as well as saves money.
Absolutely. It really does. It really does. So those are some good tips on how to pick the video. And I can't reemphasize enough that there's two things to do. Number one is pick the right videos and video titles from a library perspective. And then the second one is make sure when you have a patient watch a video, make sure it's the right one for them, whether it's cultural or language or level of education, because one size does not fit all in the video world, like anything else, Before I let you go, why don't you tell folks how they can find you online?
Okay, well, I'm on Twitter at No Time to Teach, and I have a website, www.notimetoteach.com, where I blog about patient education stuff.
Yeah, you do, and you do an excellent job of it, I might add. I want to point out that your book, No Time to Teach, put it right there, is available wherever books are sold. It's in paperback and ebook form, and I would encourage people to take a look at it. It's a small book, but it's packed full of very useful information. And for hospitals, you directors of nursing out there, if you want to make a bulk purchase of this, you can go to the publisher, Pritchett & Hull, and that's p-h.com, and you get a sizable discount if you buy copies of 30 or 40 books. I'm not sure I can't remember the number, but it's an excellent discount for bulk purchase. And that's a good way to use this, and that way you can get your entire staff on a consistent and proven patient education process. And if anybody's interested in learning more about video-on-demand patient education, you can visit our website, synergybroadcast.com, and look for our patient education system. We call it MMDS, or Medical Media Delivery System. And we'd be happy to entertain any questions anybody have. So, Fran, I really appreciate your time today. It was good to catch up again. I look forward to talking to you next week.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Take care.
Bye.